Welcome back. Today, we're going to talk about a building in South Korea, one that was once known as one of the three major haunted houses in the country. From the outside, it looks like nothing more than an ordinary red brick structure. But for many years, drivers passing by, residents living nearby, and even crew members from paranormal TV shows have all agreed on one thing. This is not a place where people should stay for long. Some say that once you step inside, time starts to feel a little strange. Others claim they've heard footsteps that don't belong to anyone in the building. And there are also people who insist that what they saw inside didn't look like someone who was alive. So what exactly happened in this place called Jangchun Garden? And why has it become somewhere the locals refuse to go near? Tonight, we start from here. Jangchun Garden wasn't always a place people avoided. In fact, it was once a well-known barbecue restaurant in the area, run by a married couple who lived there with their daughter. The three of them lived a simple and peaceful life, but those calm days didn't last very long. One year, their daughter was involved in an accident and became a vegetative patient, requiring long-term care. The couple worked while taking care of her, hoping that some kind of miracle would happen. But after 4 years, the little girl passed away. Losing their only child, the couple decided to sell the restaurant and leave this place full of memories so they could start over somewhere else. Unfortunately, fate still wasn't done with them. On the way to meet a real estate agent, the couple got into a serious car accident. The wife died at the scene, while the husband survived with severe injuries. A few months later, carrying the weight of losing both his daughter and his wife, he returned to Jangchun Garden. In the end, he went into the kitchen, turned on the gas, and ended his own life. From a popular restaurant to 3 consecutive tragedies, Jangchun Garden slowly became overshadowed by something much darker. After the original owner passed away, Jangchun Garden was purchased by a new owner, and the restaurant opened its doors once again. At first, business was still fairly good, but slowly, strange rumors began spreading around the area. Some customers said they had placed an order with a female server, waited a long time for their food, and eventually complained to the owner, only to be told that the restaurant didn't employ any female staff at all. Other diners mentioned that while they were eating, they suddenly felt someone tap the back of their head with a spoon, almost like a child playing a prank. But when they turned around, there was no one there. As more people came forward with similar experiences, the atmosphere inside the restaurant started to feel increasingly unusual. A few customers even said that the moment they stepped inside, they felt a sudden chill run through them. Eventually, these stories began affecting business, and once again, Jangchun Garden couldn't keep operating. The restaurant closed down not long after. After the restaurant shut down, Jangchun Garden gradually fell into disrepair. The building's exterior began to age, but what truly unsettled the people living nearby wasn't its appearance. It was the strange feeling they experienced when passing by at night. Some described that when you walk near the red brick structure, the air suddenly turns unusually cold, as if a chill is seeping out from inside the building. Many drivers reported similar experiences, especially on winter nights. There were people who claimed they saw a young girl run out into the middle of the road, causing them to swerve sharply to avoid hitting her. But when they looked back, the road was completely empty. As these stories spread throughout Jecheon, more and more residents began to avoid the area. Some taxi drivers even said that if a passenger requested to go to Jangchun Garden, they would refuse the ride outright, simply because the place just doesn't feel right. Over time, Jangchun Garden slowly became known as a forbidden spot. But at the same time, it attracted many thrill seekers and paranormal enthusiasts who deliberately visited the abandoned building at night, leaving behind graffiti and half-burned candles, making the atmosphere inside even more unsettling. As Jangchun Garden became more well-known, several paranormal TV shows started taking interest in the location. One production team even invited a medium to film inside the building, hoping to capture whatever might be happening there. But when they arrived at the entrance, the medium stopped, looked at the building for a moment, and then shook her head. She said the energy inside was far too chaotic for her to handle alone and advised the crew not to go any farther. In the end, the production team brought in 2 additional mediums before they were finally able to complete the shoot. For the crew, this might have been just another unusual filming experience. But for the locals, it only reinforced their uneasiness about Jangchun Garden, because if even a medium refused to step inside, ordinary people certainly had no reason to go near it. The story most people associate with Jangchun Garden began with a post from someone on a Korean forum who claimed to have experienced it firsthand. He said it happened during the winter of his first year at a university near Jecheon. One night, he and several classmates were drinking in their dorm when someone suddenly suggested that they go explore Jangchun Garden, since it was already late and quiet outside. Although he really didn't want to go, he eventually got talked into it, and the 5 of them got into a friend's car and headed toward the abandoned building. When they arrived, the headlights lit up the decaying first floor. The inside was completely empty, silent, hollow, with nothing left except graffiti on the walls. Because the trip was so spontaneous, no one had brought a flashlight. They could only rely on the dim light from their phones as they slowly walked up the stairs to the 2nd floor. Once they reached it, they found a broken full-length mirror. The glass was cracked, reflecting the darkened hallway behind them. At that moment, one of his friends suddenly froze. Through the mirror, he said he saw a door across the hallway, one that had been closed, slowly pushing itself open. What terrified him even more was that he was certain there was a dark figure standing behind that door. The atmosphere shifted instantly. Everyone felt something was wrong. None of them dared to confirm what that figure was. They only knew the entire place suddenly felt overwhelming and suffocating. Without another word, they all bolted down the stairs, stumbling as they ran back to the car. The driver hit the gas immediately, desperate to get as far away from Jangchun Garden as possible. But just when they thought they had escaped, things became even stranger. They drove straight along the same road without turning or stopping, yet after a few minutes, the headlights once again revealed the entrance of Jangchun Garden. Thinking they had taken the wrong path, they kept going forward, but the result was exactly the same. No matter how long they drove, they always ended up back at the same place. Panicking, someone in the group called the police, but the officer on the phone assumed they were drunk and making a prank call, and didn't offer any help. Meanwhile, the 5 of them began to feel extremely tired. Their consciousness grew blurry, and eventually, all of them fell asleep inside the car. The next morning, the netizen woke up in a hospital bed. He later learned that even though the police doubted their call, they still sent officers to check the area. When they arrived, they found the car parked in front of Jangchun Garden, with all 5 people inside unconscious. None of them were injured, and there were no clear signs of intoxication. The only thing the police could do was send them to the hospital for observation. As for why they all fell unconscious at the same time, the police said they had no explanation. Although countless paranormal stories about Jangchun Garden have circulated online, the locals have a different perspective. A reporter once visited Jecheon specifically to investigate and interviewed an elderly couple who had lived in the area for many years. According to them, Jangchun Garden had indeed been a barbecue restaurant at first, but after a nearby highway was completed, most of the traffic and customers were diverted elsewhere. Business naturally began to decline, and the restaurant eventually closed for practical reasons, not because of anything supernatural. As for the shadows and footsteps people claimed to hear after the restaurant shut down, the elderly couple offered a more down-to-earth explanation. Winters in Jecheon are extremely cold, and the abandoned building provided shelter from the wind and snow, so many homeless individuals would enter at night to stay warm. If someone walked past and heard noises or saw a figure inside, it was completely possible that they were actually seeing one of them. The couple believed that the stories grew stranger over time simply because people already had a fixed impression of Jangchun Garden. Once a place becomes known as haunted, even ordinary things can easily be interpreted in another way. Jangchun Garden went from being an ordinary restaurant to a place many people now consider forbidden. Along the way, it experienced family tragedy, closure, abandonment, and a series of stories that no one has ever been able to fully explain. No one can say for sure what truly happened inside, and whether the shadows, footsteps, and strange chills people reported late at night were really something from another world. Those questions will probably never have a definite answer. For some, Jangchun Garden is nothing more than a building forgotten by time. But for those who believe they've witnessed something unusual there, the place still holds a kind of emptiness, one that can't be explained by simple logic. If you want to hear more urban legends, remember to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.